Hi, I'm Chad, and this video is to talk about a very important topic in academic writing and being a student at university. I want to talk a little bit about referencing today and plagiarism. Plagiarism is a big, scary word that gets thrown around a lot, usually with a lot of threats and a lot of warnings of what will happen if you do it. But sometimes people don't really know what it is, or why it's a problem, or how to avoid it. So there's a couple of different approaches to this. Taking the adaptive leadership approach, you could see it as an adaptive challenge or as a technical challenge. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to talk about it largely as a technical challenge. I'm going to really define it as a problem, suggest a solution for it, and give you a recipe or suggest some very clear, structured ways and some conventions for how to avoid that problem. Now, as we know from adaptive leadership, this doesn't always create the change that we need, and it may not be all you need for learning about plagiarism and referencing and citation and scholarly argument. But I hope to deal with those adaptive issues in another video. And those adaptive issues are things that will take a lot longer to sort out than simply talking about it on a video like this anyway. So to come up with a definition of plagiarism, we could look at university policy, and we might do that in a moment, to look for a clear definition of plagiarism. But plagiarism is really quite simply taking someone else's ideas or words and passing them off as your own. So this is why people get so serious about it, is that it's seen as kind of a form of theft or trying to claim credit for something that's not really yours. And so there are a lot of kind of ethical and moral issues around it as well. Now, I should emphasize that plagiarism isn't illegal. If you do plagiarism, you won't get caught by the police. You won't get taken to court. There are no fines or anything like that. But it is a very serious matter that universities take very seriously, and it's covered in the realm of university policy. So that's where it gets all really very serious. So if you think of plagiarism as really trying to claim ideas that are not your own, or text that is not your own. This is one thing that's very important, is that people often think that it's mostly just about the words themselves, but it can be the ideas as well. So how do you get around that? Well, the main way you get around plagiarism and issues of plagiarism is to be very, very clear about what your words and thoughts and ideas are, and what are the words and thoughts and ideas of other people. So there's a couple of ways you can do this, and there are conventions around quotation and paraphrasing. Quotation is using directly the words of another person. You use quotation marks and you use exactly their same words. And then the reader knows that you're using the words and the ideas of someone else. If you want to use the ideas of someone else, it's often better to put it in your own words. And therefore you need to do paraphrasing, which is keeping to the idea of what the original author has said, but putting it in your own words. Now, this is quite challenging for everyone, particularly challenging if English is not your first language. So it might take a lot of practice, and it might take a lot of work at learning how to do paraphrasing. You need to have a really good understanding of the ideas of the other person. You need to be able to put it in your own words. Really, a lot of this is about voice. So that your reader of your assignment really needs to know where your voice ends and where the voice and ideas of another writer begin. So quotation and paraphrasing is a really important way of doing this properly. But because paraphrasing puts things in your own words, the reader then also needs to know where the idea comes from. And this is where the importance of referencing comes in. So a really, simple definition, really simple solution to the idea of plagiarism, very technical solution to the problem of plagiarism, is to do referencing. If you do referencing correctly, then you'll avoid plagiarism fairly effectively. That's a lot easier said than done, obviously. Like all technical solutions, this may just be a band-aid solution. It may not be the most helpful thing to tell you or the most helpful advice to give you, but this is where we'll start. So what is referencing? Referencing is really, another word might be citation or attribution. Referencing is a way of telling your reader where the ideas that you're using come from. So it's very important to flag when you've used someone else's ideas. You create your originality in using other people's ideas and attaching them to your own to create your argument. But now we're getting into the adaptive stuff. And to be honest, the adaptive issues around this are much more interesting to me. I'd much rather talk about scholarly argumentation and how you create an argument than the simple conventions of referencing. But we're sticking with the conventions of referencing. Let me do that. Let me stick with the technical for a moment. So referencing is a way for you to tell your reader where your sources come from. Now, these are done according to conventions. There are lots of different referencing systems. Most lecturers will have a preference for a referencing system, but really the type of referencing you use is not as important as the fact that you use it consistently and that you use it at all. So in a way, doing referencing as a technical challenge is really like following a recipe. It might be a complicated recipe. It might be a souffle rather than a pancake, but there is a recipe for doing it. And I want to show you where that recipe lives and where you might find it and some ways of how to follow it so you can apply that in your own assignment. So let's go to the internet, as always. Now, when I use the university webpage, I just search for everything, really. I just do lots of searching. That's how it often works for me. So I would start off by searching for referencing. And you'll come up with a page that is referencing guides from the Writing Center. That's the one you want. Okay? Bookmark this one. It'll be very useful. So you can see there's lots of different types of referencing. Now what you'll want to do is you'll want to find out from your lecturer what style of referencing they prefer. Now personally, I like Harvard. That's the one I usually use. Other lecturers, even in the MBA or even within the same program, may prefer APA, Vancouver, MLA. Okay, you can see there's even a different type of Harvard referencing for a different topic or a different discipline area, which is classics. There's the thing about legal citation as well. So here are all the referencing guides. I'm going to give you a bit of a look at the Harvard referencing guide, what that looks like and how it works. Now, people who write referencing guides will look at this and go, oh, this is quite short. Oh, I can't believe you made this so short. And we worked very, very hard to make this as short as it is. Referencing guides can be 80 to 100 pages long. They're sometimes called style guides. And style guides will describe how to use punctuation, how to use, spelling, how to use spaces, things like that, as well as referencing. But a referencing guide will just focus on the referencing. So here you've got the Writing Center from the University of Adelaide, the referencing guide here. Okay, so really this is your recipe. This is how to do referencing. Now it may take some time for you to get used to this system, but once you get used to it, it's fairly doable. It's a recipe that you follow. And maybe once you're an expert cook, you can cook a souffle without using the recipe so much. So this describes how references are used in two places in a piece of writing. And this is a very important thing about referencing. It's done in two places. Within the text, where you have actually used an author's idea or a quotation of their actual words, you need to give a reference to say this actual stuff is from someone else. What the reader will then do is go, okay, that's like an author and a title, and then there'll be a reference list at the end which gives a full reference of all of the information from that source. Okay? One of the things to do with referencing is to put yourself in the position of the reader. If the reader's reading this quotation, they need to know where that quotation's from, right? Well, they need to know which page it's from, if it's from a journal or a book, because they don't want to have to read the whole book. So you need to have the author, the year, and the page. The author and the year should be enough information for them to go to the reference list at the end and then go and find the full reference, and then they can go to the library or an article database and go and find it for themselves. So that's what we mean by the text and the reference list, the in-text reference and the reference list reference. And this is what a reference list kind of citation will look like. You have an author here, you may have further authors, you have the year there, you have the article title in quotation marks, in lowercase and with no full stop to the end, you have the journal title in italics with capitals, you have the volume number, a comma, the issue number, a comma, the pages, and then a full stop. Okay, here they've put a little thing in there to indicate that there's a space there. So that's really the basic format of the full reference at the end of your essay at the reference list. Okay, so you can see you've got all the information. You've got author, you've got year, you've got the title of the article, or it may be a chapter, you've got the name of the journal title, or it may be a book, you've got the volume number and pages. Now, in your reference list, you need the full page range, right? If this is a chapter or a journal article, then the reference list needs to say what that whole chunk is from. If it's a whole book you're referring to in the reference list, you don't really need page numbers because it's the whole book you're referring to. In the in-text reference, if it's a quotation, you do need a page number, right? Because that's a specific piece of information that comes from there. Again, thinking about it from your reader's perspective helps you to think about how these things work. So one of the first things to do when you're doing a reference is figure out what type of source that you've got. Do you have a journal article? Do you have a book chapter? Is it a full book? Is it an edited book? Is it a website or what? Okay, that will help you figure out what kind of information that you need. Then you use this referencing guide to say, is it a journal article? Further down, is it a book or an ebook or a book chapter? Further down, is it a conference publication? Probably unlikely. You might not be using conference publications at all. Is it a newspaper or a magazine article? Not a journal article, it's still a periodical, but it's a newspaper or magazine article, not scholarly, right? Is it a data set? Probably not. Is it a web page? This is important. You may be using web pages. Just a hint, don't use Wikipedia in your citations. That's generally quite frowned on. Is it social media? Is it a blog? Is it a Facebook post or a podcast? Okay. Is it an other reference type from the ABS? Is it the Bible, dictionary, encyclopedia? Personal conversations, maps, things like that. So you can see this document is so long because there's so many different types of sources. Then what you do is you go, the most common ones you'll have are near the top, a journal article in print. There's the author, there's the year, there's the name of the journal, there's the name of the journal article, the name of the journal, volume number, page numbers. And then the in-text reference will look like this, Hable 2009. If you've got a book, it will look like this. Author, year, name of the book, publisher, place of publication. If your in-text reference will have author, year, like this. So this format will show you author, year, the in-text reference, and then what the full reference list citation would look like. So hopefully that's a good kind of brief introduction to what the recipe of referencing is about. So that's very much about conventions. It's very formal. It's very technical. Yes, it's not an easy recipe to follow, especially at the beginning, but that referencing guide will be your best guide to the format of citations and the conventions for doing them. The other thing I want to show you is lots of sources that you can use. So the Writing Center also has this Avoiding Plagiarism page. You could search again for Avoiding Plagiarism and you'll find that. This is a really good little video that tells you some of the more adaptive issues around avoiding plagiarism and referencing. You've got a learning guide on avoiding plagiarism, which isn't just a referencing guide, it's more about plagiarism. You've got to think about source credibility. Why do we not use Wikipedia? Think about objective language, and then something about reading your Turnitin similarity report if you have those coming through. You've got all your another link to all your referencing guides there. For HDR students, that's probably not so relevant to you, but then here's a whole section on Turnitin as well. If you're interested in Turnitin, how it works, what it is, how useful it is, how to interpret your report, here's some videos on an introduction to it, why it's beneficial, and then from a tutor's point of view. This one's particularly useful because it'll take you through what a tutor actually does when they're looking at a Turnitin report and looking at text matched within an assignment or document. So that's my video on plagiarism and referencing. As I said, very technical, very conventional, very much about the recipe of how you do these things. Hopefully that's been useful as a brief introduction. As always, have conversations about this with everybody you need to, with your course coordinator, with your lecturer. Go to the library, they have some help. Go to the Writing Center, they can help you with some of these things as well. So create conversations around these things as a path to your eventual learning. Thanks very much for listening, and I hope that's been useful. Thanks.